Hello everyone and welcome to the daily / weekly race guide. This is actually week 26 now of this year, 2020. It's flying by now. And we have 3 more races of course this week. We are at Tsukuba, Redbull Ring and Suzuka. Now this week isn't the greatest of fun if I'm honest. In fact, you know, you can have a little bit of racing, but there's no like huge dramatic races in this one I found. But we'll get into the detail of each of them shortly. First of all, let's jump to race A and let's have a look a little bit more at the details. Welcome then to Tsukuba, which is race A of course, and we're kind of used to Tsukuba being race A. I've never really seen it on any of the other races, to be honest with you. And with this race is quite an interesting race actually. You can overtake, which is unusual for Tsukuba in itself. You can do some very interesting and good moves, to be honest with you. But the car's a little bit sketchy. But we'll get to that a little bit later. Let's talk about the race details. They are 5 laps in length, this race. It's a grid start. You will need traction control, which I actually forgot in the race, which you will see shortly. And we're on sports hard tyres. Now, in terms of the car, we're in something very unique, very oversteery. We're in the Porsche 911 Carrera RS CS 993 from 1995. Of course, Porsche, they just keep going with the 911s from the 1900s through to the year 3000. So, we are racing in this Porsche. Let's jump to the race now, and I'll talk you through some tips and tricks. So here we are at the start, and watch this, wheel spin straight off the bat, you can see that, whack traction control on as fast as possible. You still see it in action there as well, even though we're slightly rolling, so very critical you get traction control sorted out at the start. I'll just show you my brake balance there briefly, -3. Don't go too further forward, because what you'll find is the wheels feel like they're locking up at the front on -5. This car's very oversteery anyway, you can see that in front. So -3 I found was probably the best place to be here. So we're heading towards this turn here, be very careful. Stay on the inside, as I always say at the start of any race. Stay on the inside as much as you can, because if you're on the outside, you're going to see what happened there with the Porsche. And this time we are on the outside, so I back out of this. It's better to back out of that situation because you can see it happening and then just take the corner and try and make moves later on. If you get punted off, it's the end of your race, so just be careful with it. Again, we're on the inside at this point, so we're just going to take this nice and easy. You can see Marnik there just goes a little bit deep there, but it doesn't hit anyone, so it's fair enough. And then we're racing on here, so it's going to be 2x2 now as we head towards the right-hander. This right-hander is kind of an odd one in this car. You can go around the outside and you can be on the inside, but it's very hard to do 2x2. Fortunately here, we all survive. Staying on the inside I find is better if you can keep the car straight. There's a slight tap there, nothing I can do at that point. I'm on the inside, it's just my corner at that point, just slide in, just caught it and he hit me there. So we head towards turn 1 again. You see I'm defending on the inside here, and you can see people still understeering off here. Very common to do with this car at this track. I saw it constantly throughout the race. Heading down here, obviously this is a prime overtaking spot because people run deep, as you're about to see here. Somebody running deep again, and you can see people running deep up ahead as well. So just keep it tight, second gear, keep it tight. Try and get around as fast as you can and plant your foot, and you should have the corner. Now, I went a bit deep here because I thought he might make a move there. He doesn't, but I survive it and I can continue on. And you are seeing my rear end come out quite a lot. Let's jump towards the end now. Let me show you a bit of a quicker lap, give you a bit of an idea here. So I'm braking around that 50-meter board on the left, and you really want to take a wide line into here. So the reason the car gets oversteery is because you've overturned the car a little bit too much. Even here, you can see I'm trying to keep the car flat and straight as I turn the corner. It's very hard to do. As you head up to here, you're going to brake right where the cone was, which was nice and lovely. And second gear this corner, you can see the understeer up ahead of Supernova. So now I'm looking to make moves here. Not really a place to overtake this corner. You're going to have an accident if you try it. So through there we go, and this is where a lot of oversteer happens. You can see that straight off the bat. Again, you can see Supernova now have oversteer. A lot of oversteer with the acceleration in this car, which is surprising because the weight's over the rear wheels. Even so, we come into this corner, and I'm going to do a nice lovely cutback here. Now you can do that kind of move there because it's all with this car. It's all about point and squirt. Just get out the corner as fast as humanly possible. So we're going to be side by side here, heading towards this last corner. And as I say, you can do this corner side by side. You can go around the outside. It's very possible here. You can see he just charged in there. It's a slight glimpse of my car there, and then he tries to come in on my car. Kind of a bit frustrating. I think I could have had that position, but I was trying not to like send him to Narnia or her to Narnia, so I didn't. Anyway, that's it for race A. Let's now jump to race B, which you can see in the top right hand side, which is at Redbull Ring in Group 4. Welcome then to the Redbull Ring. Obviously, this is a power circuit at the moment. So there's only one set of cars that's going to come to the forefront, but we'll discuss that in just a second. Let's have a look at the race details. We are racing for 4 laps here at Red Bull Ring. It's a rolling start, but because of the certain type of car we'll be using, you don't necessarily have to worry about traction control, and we are on racing hard tyres. Now, as I say, it's a power circuit. So at the moment, we know what the most powerful cars are in the game in Group 4. It's FF cars. So we are going to be racing in the Peugeot RCZ Group 4 car. That is the best car here. Of course, FF cars are going to be the best where there's no tyre wear. There's no tyre wear. It suits them in terms of the power. It is what it is. Let's jump to the race and let's see if I can help you with a few tips and tricks. Here we are at the start. Then let me just show you the grid, of course. So you can see mainly RCZs. That we have an F-Type in there. And that's pretty much it. So we have got a Ferrari at the back as well. So you can see dominated by the RCZ. Of course, that's the fastest FF car in a straight line compared to all of them. It's just slightly worse on tyre wear, which is why it's not as good in the tyre wear races. But even so, we're in the Peugeot RCZ, so we'll see what we can do. Now, with this race, it's a little bit boring, if I'm honest. I found it's just not fun because everyone's in an RCZ, so there's no real strengths or weaknesses. But even so, let's have a look at the start here. So we have a countdown. We're on the corner. Quick shift to second. That's all you got to do here. And you should be fine. No need for traction control, in my opinion. Just keep it, you know, accelerate away, whack it to second, off you go. Now, you are going to see up ahead, there's already going to be a move happening, and that's going to be a Peugeot on the Jaguar. There we go, the Peugeot going for the move on the Jag. Now, going for a move on turn 1, lap 1 is never good because it slows everybody down, as you see here. So we get a lovely little move there. I'm surprised I didn't hit the rear of that other Peugeot, to be honest with you. I just managed to lift off enough for the car to turn and for me to get round. So quite a good move there, in my opinion. As we continue on, so obviously the Jag does get done by the Peugeot there as we continue up to this right-hander. Now this, obviously, the primary overtaking spot. Primary spot you're going to get dive bombed. Primary spot you're going to get crashed into. Just be very careful on that corner. You see I was on the inside there. Just sticking to my standard routine that I always say. Stay on the inside. If you get hit, at least then you've got more chance of surviving the corner than if you're on the outside. See the Jag going to go defensive here, of course, because we're just catching them for days. The Peugeot is going to try and go around the outside here. Good little effort here from the Peugeot. Watch my accelerator here. I lift off to stop understeering into that Peugeot. Now, that's very critical on that corner if you have a car on the outside, okay? I've seen it quite a few times in this race where people understeer into the car on the outside. You can't do that. You have to lift off if a car is there. It's just the way it is. If you start understeering, lift off, try and control the understeer. You understeering into somebody else is not good racing. It really isn't. So just, you know, lift off, roll a little bit, then accelerate on, avoid hitting the car on the side. Remember, Gran Turismo has bouncy physics. If you hit someone, they're going to go into the gravel, so just be careful of that. We continue on with the racing also. I've actually got quite a lot of the racing in this one, just to show you some like little areas and problems and, you know, all that good stuff. So we continue on here. I get a good run on this Peugeot driver once again. We're having a good little battle here. We're going to head towards turn 1. Now, turn 1 normally side by side doesn't really work unless you absolutely trust the driver on your inside. Fortunately here, he does trust me, and we do make it round side by side. We do lose time, but, you know, we survive. Very, very risky move to do. Normally the person on the outside will get hit off. And remember, penalties are on this circuit, so you could get hit with a penalty, which is going to be very bad for you as we continue out towards this right-hand. And you can see someone actually has a penalty up ahead there as well. So leaving this corner, it's basically about pointing and squirting there really, because you don't want wheel spin. So if you'll get more wheel spin and hit the limiter if you're turning the wheels. So just be careful of that. As you can see, that driver with the penalty is going to get absolutely mugged of all sorts of positions. So it's kind of critical you don't get a penalty in this race. Only 4 laps, remember, as we come to this right-hander. Now you're going to see the understeer thing, which I mentioned about. The acceleration away there pushes the Jag off into the gravel. You have to be so careful. You can't just understeer off there. I know it's a mistake. I'm not shouting out the guy there. It's just a mistake, but just be careful. Lift off. You can't just push a car off the circuit. Continue on now. This is on lap number 3. We're going to have a good bit of racing again here, and towards the right-hander. Obviously going for the move down the inside there, side-by-side action. That slows everybody up, so I obviously get a good run through that corner. And as I say, don't get the wheel spin, accelerate away. You're going to be fine and dandy here as we continue on to the other primary overtaking spot. I've not really talked about this yet. Into this corner, again, is going to be where a lot of moves are going to happen. It's where a lot of dives happen. It's where a lot of people make mistakes. And you can see there, the real Drew just makes a little bit of mistake there, goes too deep. The other driver turns into me for some unknown reason. I literally, the corner hadn't even happened yet, and I got turned into, so it's quite bizarre. But we continue on, and we're going to have some side-by-side moments. So you can see here, side-by-side does work once again. We're having a good race here. But this next corner, where you're going to brake is just the end of the curve there usually, and I just run a little bit deep because I'm on the outside, so I'm going to lose time there. Obviously with an FF you want to sort of clip your tyre on the inside of all these curbs because it'll pull you around a little bit more, give you a little bit more turning. Happy days as we continue towards the last lap. Now one thing to note, I was actually using -3 here rather than -5. I know Andy, you know, I've played with for years, mentioned that using -3 just helps with the rear a little bit because +5's not minus, +3 and +5, sorry. +5, it over-rotates a little bit. So if you want to use +3, it's a good one to use as well. I use +5 normally, but just give you a heads up with that. That's it in terms of this race B. Let's jump to race C now, and let's have a look at Suzuka. Back to Japan then, from Austria and Suzuka, and we're here for a Super GT race essentially. We are in the Group 2 machines, but we'll get to that a little bit later. Let's have a look at the race details. So, as you can see, it is 10 laps in length. So, not a very long race in the grand scheme of it. I think it could have been longer, if I'm honest. Rolling start, you're going to have to use traction control in certain situations here. So, do be careful of that. Remember, we've got tyre wear. So, cold tyres will be there. We are racing on racing medium tyres. So, a little bit extra grip than normal from the racing hards, which is good. Fuel usage is ×2. You do not have to worry about fuel in this entire race, so rev the nuts out the car when you're on the grid. And tyre wear is ×8. Now, you do have to worry about that. A one-stop is necessary here. I don't believe you can do a non-stop. My tyres were pretty worn after a 6-lap stint, but we'll get to that shortly. Now, what car are we using? We're using the brand new Nissan GTR, so the 16 GTR in Group 2. It seems to be the most stable here. I'm not sure why everybody's picking it. As I say, it seems the most stable. The NSX is going to be quite bad on the rear end. Obviously, with tyre wear, if it's a bit slidey, you've got a problem. ×8 is quite a severe tyre wear, especially on somewhere like Suzuka. Let's jump to the race now, and I'll talk you through some tips, tricks, and you might see a murder. So, I did reference a murder there. Well, let's have a look at the grid first of all. And we've got a lot of GTRs. We have one Lexus in there. So, you see the GTR, the primary car there. Oh, we're missing an NSX there as well in P number 8. So, as I said earlier on, traction control on one for this one. We're starting before the chicane. So, traction control on that one. You can see my brake balance. I was unsure of the brake balance here. Obviously, I did 1 lap practice before this. Literally 1 lap. I got on to Gran Turismo 4 minutes before this started. So I put -1. I actually think it should be 0 or +1. I do change to +1 later on in the race. Now, traction control for the start. As I say, you're going to have cold tyres here. Got to be careful with it. So it's nice just to have traction control, get you through the chicane, and then carry on from there. Not sure what happens to the guy behind me, but decides not to race for some unknown reason to science. But we continue on as the cone gets massacred. Not traction control off. And off we go with the racing. So it should be fairly straightforward, this opening lap. Nice spread of cars there. No real close quarter racing here on this first lap. But into turn 1, you're going to have to be careful of those cold tyres. You're going to see me understeer a little bit here. You can see that there. I dropped to second gear. A little bit of dirty air in there as well. But dirty air not as bad as I thought it would be on this combo. I've got to be honest. I actually could race on this combo. So happy days with that one. As we come through the left now, and then the long right-hander. We'll go through a lap later on. As I said, I've done 1 lap practice by this point, so we'll go through a lap later on in the race just to explore the braking points and give you better gear references at that point. Continue on now to the next part of the lap, so towards the end of the lap, sorry. And we're going to have some action here, so you can see this as we head towards 130R. I actually lift for this, believe it or not. Do not lift for 130R, it's completely flat. That's how much practice I'd done, and into the braking zone we go. I'll explain that brake marker later on. It's a very nice one. As you can see, yellow flags. This is why I'm showing you this clip. Yellow flags are quite common here as the Spanish driver has been spun around there. So just be careful of people on your insides. If you get a tag on the inside here, it's very easy to get spun around. Very, very, very easy. So just keep getting knocked into there by Oliver on our left-hand side as we come into the right-hander here. Don't go too wide into turn 1. It will never work. If you've got 2 very good drivers, you can make it happen, but otherwise we're going too fast here for it to work. I will be honest with you. So you see we're all over the back of Oliver here. I'm trying not to hit the rear of him because we seem to be a bit all over the place here. So I'm just trying to judge where to make an overtake here, give you guys a little bit of tips. So here, Oliver's going to run too deep there into that left. So get a good run out of here. You'll always have better acceleration and you can get on the inside. They can't chuck it to the inside very easily. They're accelerating as well. So you're going to get that job done there. Never go too deep into that corner. It affects you far more than trying to do the long right faster. Always do it slower that right to get a really good run on the left so you don't understeer off as well. Come to the hairpin now. Very tricky corner to get right. First gear for sure here, and just be careful on accelerating there. A little bit of oversteer, nothing major. It's definitely a first gear corner. Get the maximum revs going there, because that's where the peak power is as well in this car. So you don't have to worry about fuel in this race, so it's all happy days in terms of that as we come towards Spoon now. And you can see dirty air, not a huge impact here. So we're doing Spoon fairly okay. It's a little bit, don't get me wrong, there is a little bit there, but because there's a few cars in this pack, you're all sort of like, one person gets dirty air, everybody gets dirty air. It's even Stevens. Let's go racing. So we continue on to 130. You're going to see me not lift half as much this time because I realised last lap I don't need to lift. I lift a little bit there, tiny bit, because you get a little bit scared, and into the braking zone. And again, I'll explain that braking point in a second. Some of you already know it, but as you can see here, lots of cars going off here, there, everywhere. Primary corner for overtakes. We have to just sit behind Jindra at this moment in time. Getting a few regulars on this video, I've got to say. Jindra was in the last one, I think. But we'll continue on. It's all going to get a bit carnagey now and a bit murder-esque, basically. So we're heading towards turn 1 here, and everyone's going to brake extremely early, and I'm just like chucking it on the brakes here, trying to avoid everybody. I avoid Jindra there. Spanish guy behind. Oh, so Oliver behind me pushes me again. Continues to keep pushing me off. So thank you for that, mate. Much appreciated. Then pushes Jindra off, and then the Spanish guy behind hits Jindra, hits me, and I'm dead. Rip. F's in that live chat if you are watching the premiere, of course. But yeah, unfortunately got murdered. So I was like, okay, well, that's fine. I know there's going to be a pit stop in this race. I'll try and catch up that way. So we're down in P18 at the moment, miles off the pace. One lap later, we catch up to Jindra, who's having a horrid or torrid time. We could say both, I suppose. As we head towards Degner 1 here. And Degner 2. So Degner 2, of course, is where a lot of accidents will happen as well. You see, whoa, you saw that the Group 2 car up ahead there, the Lexus, I think that is, just getting all sorts of oversteer as we come in towards the left-hander now. And Jindra runs a little bit deep there, so obviously you can get good acceleration here. Point and squirt, off you go. You should be able to overtake somebody. So Jindra actually runs quite wide here. I'm not sure whether he does this on purpose or not, not too sure. But you can hear him under revving the car. So he changes gear too early. Max those revs in this car. And I run a little bit deep here, my own mistakes. Jindra takes full opportunity there to overtake me. Well played with that. And then I'm just going to do a cutback here. And Jindra's got a penalty as well. Probably not going to fight it too much. And we carry on now further down. Now it's lap 4, so I'm thinking, okay, I'll go for a little bit of an undercut here, see if I can make anything happen with an undercut. See the tyre advantage or not. Because you can see the tyre wear is quite severe here. Times 8, remember. So you do have to be careful of it. I did find towards the end of the race, and we will look at that later on, that if you do pit a lap earlier, you are going to suffer. That one lap earlier is significant, whereas on other races, it may not be. So could have done with being maybe times 1 less, maybe, and it had worked out. But even so, we're in the pits. Make sure you click that button as fast as humanly possible, by the way. It will save you some time in the pit stop. Just slam XX, no need to refuel. Bam, bam, off you go, straight out the pits again. It'll save you a little bit of time. Obviously, more time made up in the pits, less time you have to make up on the track. Anyway, we continue on. I just remember cold tyres on this outlap as well. We don't seem to have tyre warmers in there, so just be careful in the first few corners. Anyway, we advance to lap 5. And yes, we're going to have a little bit more of an insane moment now. One of the most insane moments in quite a while in a daily race. So you can see fighting going on up ahead as we come through this left-hander. And then we're going to hit the brake marker. So the brake marker for that is the start of the yellow pit lane. You will have seen it on the right-hand side. Now you see the Spanish driver who killed me earlier has just killed the Lexus driver. But it's going to let me go here. Well, what I thought was going to let me go. But first of all, let's explain it. So you can see I'm catching on slipstream. You're going to see the indicator come on now. And then I go, oh crap. I like literally full-on PG Peggy 18 moment here. I somehow survived. But then he turns into me. Don't know why. Should have taken a wider line. Not my fault. And off he goes. So a little bit of karma there. Returns because he pushed me off earlier on. I know he was trying to avoid Jindra as well. But yeah, just back out of it. When you see an accident happening, back out of it. Because that's what should have happened earlier on. But anyway, we continue on now. So we're up to P10. We've done okay. We're not going to win the race because obviously we got murdered earlier on. But we continue on towards 130R. You're going to see 2 cars up ahead. Side by side 130R. No problem. As I say, it's absolutely flat. Don't know why I was lifting earlier on. So just do it flat as you come into the braking zone. I'm going to take you on a little bit of a lap now for lap number 9. So we come through here. We're going to have a good run on Ismail here. So down the inside of Ismail. Again, don't go side by side in the first corner. It's the one thing I recommend. If somebody is this far ahead of you going into turn 1, just lift off and go falling behind him or try and do a cutback. It ain't going to work. He tries to run 2x2. There's no contact there. Runs too deep and off he went. So let's talk about gears and corners now. So you want to not use the brake as much as possible here. So you can see I dropped to 3rd gear. I'm dabbing the brakes a little bit just due to the tyre wear, but fresh tyres, you won't need the brake. 3rd gear, balance that throttle. You can see me up and down it. I brake a little bit for this corner, just dab the brake slightly. Get to the right as best as you can to enable you to do this left as good as possible. You can see there, had to lift a little bit there because I was understeering off. That's the tyre wear kicking in. Be careful of that. Tidgney 1, dab of the brakes, chuck it in, 4th gear, and then just before the end of the curve, you're going to brake towards 2nd gear. Through there, you're going to go, accelerate as fast as you can. Be careful of the AstroTurf on that left-hand side. It will kill you. As we head towards the hairpin now. The hairpin, just after the curb ends, brake, 1st gear, try and turn it as best you can, and literally hit the throttle as best as you can there. A little bit of oversteer, but you can see it's very catchable. No need to worry about it there. Continue on out of the hairpin then, and we've got a nice little breather now heading towards Spoon. Spoon is the standard brake marker that it's always been forever. It's the tarmac on the right hand side. Brake there and drop it to 3rd gear. Trying to avoid understeering off too much there and just keep dabbing that brake. Trail braking if you can through there and then accelerate out in 3rd gear. We're going to head towards 130R, which is nice and easy in this. We just showed you it is flat out as we head up there now. My word, I'm losing my breath here. It's all that Fugu Frenzy stuff. So flat out here, just chuck it in nice and easy. Look at that. I could turn for days. And brake marker again, that yellow, as the yellow pit's just starting the right, brake there, drop to 2nd gear. You've got a lot of this chicane. Look at me cut it there, quite a lot. Cut it a lot, and then accelerate towards the line here. We jump to lap number 10. Happy days, job done. We finish in P9. Fairly off the top there, but without the murder, I suspect we would have been P3. Even so, cracking little race. You can get a bit of racing action in there. You have to be careful of being killed though. That's all I'll say. But that's it for me now, folks. Thanks very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video or live stream very soon.